This was never supposed to be found. Not here, not underwater. They were looking for sharks. And then they saw it. 27 meters under the Pacific Ocean. A structure that has no business being there. Flagged terraces, straight edges, right angles, cut from solid bedrock, in the middle of the ocean, where nothing like this should exist. It was 1986. A dive instructor named Kihachiro Aratake was scouting terrain off the coast of Yonaguni Island, Japan. He came back with photographs. The photographs reached researchers, and the researchers went very quiet. Because what they were looking at was not a rock formation. It was a ledge, a perfectly flat ledge, 150 meters wide, 27 meters tall, like the base of something enormous that once stood above the water. And that's where the first problem begins. Geology creates cracks, rough edges, random breaks. It does not build staircases. And yet, that is exactly what this looks like. Wide, flat steps, descending in precise levels, one after another, as if someone designed them. Someone built this. Or everything we know about history is wrong. And that question, that single question, has never been resolved. The official position is simple. Natural formation. Sandstone fractures along clean plains. It can look structured. It can look deliberate. It isn't. That's the official position. And then you look at the details, and the official position starts to crack. The angles repeat across the entire structure. The same angles, the same proportions, over and over. That's not how geology works. There are what look like drainage channels, cut into the edges of the terraces, running in straight lines. There are tool marks on the stone. And then, this is where things stop making sense. There is a face, carved into the rock. Wide eyes, a straight mouth, staring upward through the water. Officially, a coincidence. Pattern recognition, pareidolia, the human brain inventing meaning in random shapes. Maybe. But marine geologist Masaki Kimura spent 15 years diving this structure. 15 years. He catalogued staircases, walls, a central pathway, what he describes as a castle, an arch, a stadium. His conclusion was not cautious. He said, "This was built." And if he's even partially right, then there is a date attached to this structure. A date that changes everything. The last time this seafloor was above water was at least 10,000 years ago. 10,000. 5,000 years before the pyramids, before writing, before the wheel. This is where it gets uncomfortable. Either Kimura is wrong about everything, or someone was building on a scale we don't recognize, 10,000 years before history says that was possible. There is no comfortable middle ground. Here is what is not disputed. The structure is real, dived hundreds of times, photographed, measured, argued over, for 40 years, and there is still no consensus. The geological camp says natural. The archaeological camp says built. Neither side has won. But here is the detail nobody can dismiss. There are other formations nearby, underwater, other structures, and what some researchers describe as a road, a paved road, running along the ocean floor. If that's real, then this isn't a monument, it's a neighborhood, a piece of something much larger. A city that once sat in open air with streets and levels and people moving through it. And then it was gone. No confirmed artifacts, no tools, no writing, no graves. just the stone, silent, submerged, waiting for someone to explain it. Whoever built this has been completely removed from the record. Not lost, not forgotten, removed. How many others did we miss? Simply because nobody was looking? Or worse, because someone already knew they were there? Or maybe it wasn't forgotten at all. What if a myth turned out to be a map? For 3,000 years, Dwarka existed only in scripture, a golden city, a city of gods, home to Krishna himself. Then swallowed by the sea in a single, terrible moment. Beautiful story, ancient poetry, obviously not real. Then, in 1983, marine archaeologists entered the Gulf of Kambat off the coast of Gujarat, India. They found walls, stone walls, in a grid pattern, extending for kilometers beneath the ocean floor. They pulled artifacts from the sediment, pottery, carved stone, ornaments. The results came back. And that's where everything broke. Over 9,000 years old. Let that sink in. 9,000. That is not a settlement. That is not a village. That is a city. A city that shouldn't exist at that point in time. Built and functioning before our entire historical timeline says cities were possible. The myth wasn't just real. The myth was ancient, in ways nobody was prepared for. And that's when the real question started. Official Indian archaeological bodies reviewed the findings. They were cautious. Very cautious. Some disputed the dating. Others questioned the methodology. The debate has never been settled. But the walls were never disputed. The artifacts were never disputed. Something man-made is sitting 30 meters down on the floor of the Gulf of Kambat. And then the divers found something else. Something that made the scale of this problem completely different. Docks. Not walls. Not foundations. Docks. Anchor stones. Port infrastructure. The physical evidence of ships arriving. Goods moving. Commerce happening. At 9,000 years old. Think about that. And this is where things stop making sense. At 9,000 years old, we don't have ports. We don't have organized trade networks. We don't have cities with grid planning and waterfront infrastructure. Our entire model of early human development says this is impossible. And yet, the anchor stones are there. The dock structures are there. So who was trading here? Where were the ships going? And who else was on the other end of those routes? No one knows. The contradiction is sitting on the ocean floor, 30 meters down, completely visible, completely unexplained. Go back to the Mahabharata, 3,000 years old, one of the oldest epics in human history. It says Dwarka was swallowed by the sea the moment Krishna departed. Not gradually, not slowly. One event. The ocean came. The city was gone. That's mythology. We know that. But here is what the geology says. There was a seismic event in the Gulf of Kambat, a major one. Large sections of the coastline collapsed downward, rapidly. The people living there would have had almost no warning. The ground drops. The water rushes in. A city, a real, functioning 9,000-year-old city, disappears in hours. And the only people who survive remember it as the moment a god left the world. They passed that story down for 9,000 years. And somewhere inside it was the truth. Some researchers call Dwarka the Indian Atlantis, but that comparison is wrong. Atlantis is still just a story. Atlantis has no walls. Atlantis has no anchor stones with a date on them. Dwarka has all of that. So the question is no longer whether this city existed. The question is what other cities, equally real, equally ancient, we are still calling myths because we haven't looked yet. Forget the stone monuments. Forget the ancient walls. This one is different. This one has people in it. Off the coast of northern Israel, 9 to 12 meters beneath the Mediterranean Sea, there is a village. Not ruins, not foundations. A village. The walls are still standing. The hearths are intact. The storage jars are still in place, some of them still containing food. 8,000 to 9,000 years old. It looks like everyone left 5 minutes ago. The site is called Atlit Yam, found in 1984 by marine archaeologist Ehud Galili. He was not expecting this. Nobody was. There are stone houses with intact walls, courtyards, a freshwater well, still surrounded by its original stones. They planned for water. They planned to stay. They were not passing through. And in the very center of the village, a circle of 7 massive standing stones, each one deliberately placed, all of them oriented around a freshwater spring. 8,000 years old, still standing, on the bottom of the sea. Whatever happened here, happened fast, and nobody came back. When researchers went through the site carefully, really carefully, they found something that changed the tone of everything. Not tools, not pottery. People. Human remains. Dozens of them. Some still partially articulated, preserved in cold sediment for 9,000 years. These were not bodies swept in by a flood. Some were buried, intentionally, with objects placed beside them. They were mourned. And then, this is where it gets deeply strange. Among the remains, they found a woman and a child, buried together, both carrying signs of the same disease, tuberculosis. The earliest confirmed cases of tuberculosis in human history. Think about that. This community was stable enough to pass a disease across generations, stable enough to share sickness the way you share it when you live side by side for years. They farmed, they fished, they raised animals, they built a well, they buried their dead with care. This was not a primitive encampment. This was a society, with routines, with grief, with ritual. And the stone circle at the center, 7 stones around a spring, has never been explained. Ritual? Measurement? Boundary? No one knows. There is no clear answer. And that silence, that total absence of explanation, is somehow the most unsettling part. Because everything else here is so recognizable, so human. Everything except that circle. The storage pits were full. Grain, fish, supplies built up for the next season. The kind of stores you build when you are not planning to leave. And then they were gone. The leading theory is a tsunami. A volcanic collapse somewhere in the western Mediterranean sent a wave across the entire sea, moving faster than any warning could travel. The people of Atlit Yam may have seen the water pull back from the shore. That strange, unnatural silence. The sea retreating further than it should. That moment of absolute stillness before everything ends. Some of them may have understood what it meant. Some may have run. The ones who didn't are still there. And this is the part that is hard to move past. Try to picture it. A family at a hearth. A child near the storage jars. The smell of food. The sound of the village. An ordinary moment. They didn't know it was the last time. Nobody ever does. Atlit Yam is not an abstract ancient mystery. It is not a debate about geology. It is a home with real people in it. People who got sick and buried their dead and built a circle of stones around a spring for reasons we will never understand. They lived in a world that existed thousands of years before our history begins. A world we knew nothing about until a diver found it by accident in 1984. Here is the number you need to hold on to. We have mapped less than 20% of the ocean floor. Less than 20%. Yonaguni, found by accident. Dwarka, found because someone decided to look. Atlet Yam, found by accident. 3 cities, 3 accidents, in less than a fifth of the ocean. What is down there? How many villages, how many walls, how many storage jars still full of food? How many entire civilizations are we still calling myths because we haven't looked deep enough yet? And how much of human history was never meant to be found?